live. Got him.
Rod does it every time, man. Right before we're going on, he always cracks some joke that gets me laughing.
Today it was two live crew. So
two live crew.
Throwback to the 90s.
That's right. Rod and Jody are your two live crew on a Thursday. It's a beautiful fall day here in Boise, Idaho, and it's already starting to turn cold, and it sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's just like fall. Today we also have Austin from Austin's Clean Cars. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Look at Austin, man. He's like sitting back, all relaxed. He's like,
look at his showroom, man. Look at the counter. He's even got the aluminum, the brushed aluminum on the middle of the counter there. That's awesome.
So I share this space with another company. So the company I rent from, he has an office, but I mean it's big. It's got a couch.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
It's pretty big.
Nice. That is cool.
Yeah, boy, that's like high class, man.
One day it'll all be mine.
There you go.
I love that, right? The vision, the passion, and one day all this is going to be mine.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's one of the things that's really attracted to me in my conversations to you. I mean, you haven't been in detailing for a very long time, but man, you have been so hungry to get after it, to get the training, to get your business going. And I'm like, all right, we got to talk to this guy.
I appreciate it.
So tell us, like, just, high level, what's your story? How long have you been in detailing, and how did you get involved?
So, I've been in business, like legit business, since October of last year. Is when I filed for my LLC and everything like that. I got my shop. My first day open was October 1st. And then before that, I was doing it mobile and then on the side for about 2 years. I worked a full-time third shift job, 12-hour shifts. So I would work 7 to 7, and I would work. So I'd work 3 12s and then be off 4. Then I'd work 4 12s and be off 3.
What were you doing? What were you doing for your other job?
I was a chemical operator at a chemical plant. So pretty much a sit-down job, sit at a desk all day, stare at a screen, go out, take measurements and readings and stuff like that. And working third shift, it was hard on my family. We just had, my son's 5, so we just had my son. Being on different shifts than my wife, it was hard. So I started detailing on the side to make some extra money and realized what I could do. So my wife ended up surprising me with the transit van. And then I started doing a lot of mobile that way because I was doing it out of my Dodge Charger. But then I got the van, started doing that. I think 3 or 4 months after she got me the van, I got the shop. I was actually out from work with COVID. And I ended up getting the shop. I was released to go back to work, and I went back to work, and I sat in the parking lot, and I told myself, you know what, screw it, I'm going to try it. So I went in and then quit my job and never looked back.
So, I mean, that's really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from being a chemical operator, working the crappy third shift, having a stress between you and your wife, when you're going to figure out when we're going to get together, when am I going to make time for my baby? And all of a sudden, I'm doing this on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got a shop and you're a year into it. I mean, what's the secret sauce for you?
Dedication and determination.
Yep.
When I quit my job, I told my wife, if I quit my job, I have no choice. The only way to go is up. Failure's not an option.
Yeah. No, and that's it. And I think so we talked about one other thing right before the thing, and that was your trainings, right? So talk about what you've done to teach, to get yourself taught how to do this at a different level.
So in 2001, I went to my first training up in Auburn, Indiana. I went to one of Rennie Doyle's one-day classes. And then after that, I started going to Mobile Tech, SDC, I've been to Onyx training with Daryl. I've done a Marine class with Jody and at Nate Warren's place. I did my my IDA testing and stuff like that. I want to keep going to classes because like I tell my wife, if I can go to that class and I can take one thing from each person there and implement it into my business, then I've got my money's worth out of it.
Yep, that's the exact same philosophy I have. Is if you pick up one thing from a training, it's worth it. And man, you hit Jody on the right one. If you're going to do a training with Jody, the Marine one's the one to do it because his passion is on fire.
I love boats, training, man, dude.
He is a boat guy. I think
boats are a total different game, and
and I
learned that. I learned that real fast, and Nathan's my witness to that.
Oh yeah, if you because gel coat's a different animal, even when it's on a car. Like doing a Corvette versus boat is totally different thing. So what do you where you're at? Tell everybody where you're at.
I'm in Georgetown, Indiana, so I'm about 10 minutes away from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep.
So you mentioned that you were doing mobile. Do you still have mobile, or are you just working out of your shop?
I do mobile here and there. I've been so busy at the shop. I have people calling wanting mobile. It's hard to get out of the shop. It's hard to get away to do it. But I mean, if someone reaches out to me and I can plan in advance for it, then I can do it. Like, so I have a guy that he owns a pro tent in Louisville. It's a big tent place. And he reached out to me and we planned weeks in advance to go out there and do all his cars. So if we can plan it, I'll do mobile.
Yep.
So one of the things that I've noticed too, when I was going through all of your social media stuff, it seems like your wife is a big part of your success in building this business. So let's talk about that, because I think sometimes, the wife, they're just in the background when they're such a key part of what's going on.
Oh yeah. I admit, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's for sure.
So what's the biggest change that has happened in your family's life building your business?
Having my son.
Yep.
For sure. Having my son changed the way I look at everything.
How's that changed that?
It pushes me to go hard, and it motivates me to do better and, not give up, because I was raised by a single mother. My dad was in and out of my life. My dad's an alcoholic, a drug addict. I can go in Louisville and see my dad standing at the corner right now, holding up a sign, bumming for money. And I don't want my son to ever have to deal with any of the things I had to deal with. I want my son to, I want to leave an impression on my son and see, that dad did what he had to do. Dad worked hard and it was all for my family. So,
yep. And I think that, whether somebody's got kids or they don't have kids, it's different. I mean, people have other motivations. So I don't want to say that people can't have other motivations, but kids are such a massive motivation in your life to do better in your personal life, in your professional life, in everything, because that means something to you when you leave an impression on your kids. And I know a lot of people that bring their kids up and have them involved. I mean, you're wearing an IGL hat, Marcus Parsley, his son, we see him all the time. That has made such an influence on Marcus personally, to have his son involved. And, everybody's got their thing, but I think that's a huge one for a lot of people. I think men especially. Mm-hmm. And I say that truly 100% because I'm not a female and I have no idea. So, but for a man, we're raised differently.
You'd be an ugly woman, man. That's all I'm saying.
I would be. But the thing I think is for men is we're raised differently. We're raised in a way that there's a lot of pride involved and there's a lot of stubbornness. Yep. And when you turn that, I like to look at it and I say, you turn that into motivation. You turn that stubbornness into motivation and it becomes drive, and you can call it stubbornness still, but stubbornness to keep a business going, tenacity. I mean, I think that's you mentioned that as far as your the thing that got you where you are. I think that gets with any business owner. One of my daughters is thinking about starting a business, and she's putting together a business plan and everything. She's asking me all these questions, and I'm like, you just have to be stubborn. You have to be persistent, and you have to never give up.
Yep.
Because it isn't easy. That's why everybody doesn't do it. It is not easy. It's a different way of life.
It's definitely a roller coaster.
So let's talk about your business. What do you if you said I have a specialty, what is your specialty that you do, and what do you work on?
Mostly paint corrections and ceramic coatings is what I push the most.
Okay.
Yep.
You got a comment. Okay, so you got so paint corrections. There's Mr. KD.
Kurt
talking about you
Evans,
earlier,
baby.
So
One of my favorite dudes.
So paint corrections, and that is one of those things that when Jody, like I said, we look at your social media, we spy on everybody. You're not one of these guys that's look at me, look at me, look at me. You're not a big cocky. Yeah. So how do you see that as somebody that's not that? What do you see that as the people that are? How do you see that affecting their business?
I just try to be different. It's hard to say. I've just found something that works for me, man. Like I have a lot of customers that come in and they say, we can see you take pride in your work by your post on Facebook and your social media, because like your befores and afters, like there's guys that are busting ceramic coatings and paint corrections out in one day. I'm not that guy. I tell everybody, expect to have your car here 4 to 5 days. I don't care if it's a 1-year coating, a 5-year coating, it doesn't matter. I try to give the customer what they pay for, and I try to give the best results I can. So if they're, whether they're getting a 1-step, 2-step, or a 3-step, I try to give my all and give it the best. And it's worked for me. I consistently get people walking in and saying, hey, I hear good things about you. I'm getting calls the same way. I'm getting local shops recommending us. So, man, if you find something that works for you, stick with it.
That's it.
I like that a lot, because I think a lot of people are trying to put on a front, right? And, you look at, from the moment you got on camera with us, you're just relaxed, right? You're just sitting back. You have this calm demeanor. Every conversation that I've had with you has been calm. It's like, it's just so comfortable being with you. And I can see that translating really well with your customers, because I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to ceramic coatings, customers feel like they're getting pushed into something that they really don't want to invest in.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I try not to do. I try to say, hey, what are you looking for? Why do you want a ceramic coating? What do you know about ceramic coatings? Come in here, sit down with me. Let me explain some things to you, and then I try to educate them. Are you going to keep the car? Are you going to wash the car yourself? Or are you going to take it to the automatic car wash? I'm not out. Like I had a guy that had a Raptor in here Monday. He just bought it. The dealership, he asked them to take some decals off of it. The dealership removed these decals with a razor blade.
Oh.
The car. Absolutely destroyed the paint. And he brought it and was like, just do what you can to make it better. And I told him, I said, you're looking at probably $1,000, $1,200 to buff it and do some paint touch up and just make it better. After I got it washed and pulled it out in the sun, I looked at it and I called him. I said, look, dude, come up here and talk to me. So he came up here and I told him, I said, look, I'm not out to take your money. I said, I don't think you're going to be happy with what we're going to do. I said, so therefore I don't want to earn the reputation of, hey, he said he could do this and it still looks like shit. I'd rather have the reputation of, hey, I took it to them. They were honest. And, he recommended me. I told him, I said, your best bet, if you're not going to paint it, go to a vinyl shop and say, hey, can you guys design some decals? Take the $1,000, invest into some decals or something to hide it. It had 160,000 miles on it,
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it. And that's just it. I try to educate my customers. I try to be honest with them and be upfront. And that's what's got me as far as I have so fast.
Right. And I think that probably if we had to give a piece of advice to anybody, that's the best advice in the world, is be honest, be upfront with your customers, and try to meet their expectations, and don't try to bullshit your way into trying to meet an expectation you can't meet. If you got something that's bad, 160,000 mile car that's got, you can just tell the clear coat's about to pop on that paint. Be honest with them. Let them know what's going on. Hey, man, you're better off spending the money and having this thing re-cleared.
And they appreciate that more than anything. And that person right there will take somebody. That person will refer everybody.
Yeah, Whitney.
There you go.
We're so glad you're here, man. Look at that.
Go.
3 heart smiley faces, man. So you can feel the love, baby. That's awesome.
She should be up here. This could be her desk.
Well,
That's
she
right.
should be
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, maybe she will be there someday. That's cool. So
I think that as you cruise into the next year, right? I mean, I like the position that the automotive industry is in. I really do. And a lot of people are negative right now about the automotive industry. The thing about it is if you look back historically, anytime there is anytime there's a recession, used car values go up, and people hold on to their used cars and they want them to look better. So they invest a little bit of money into that. Anytime the economy's doing really well, they're buying new vehicles and they want to protect them. So there's a give and take in the automotive world. And I think it has got some real positive parts no matter what the economy is doing. So I know a lot of people have been down on the economy, but man, I mean, I can just see it right now. A lot of people coming in with used cars, like you talked about, a Raptor. They want it to look good. It's got 100,000 plus, but they're going to take care of it. So
I have a question for you in regards to that experience, right? Yep. What was the customer's reaction when you called them?
Thankful. He was actually thankful. He said, I knew that it wouldn't be, it's never going to be what it was. Once they took that razor blade to it, they destroyed it. But I told him, I said, your best bet is contact the dealership, see if they're willing to work with you. Tell them what's going on and explain to them. But he was really thankful. He came up here and was like, look, man, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that you didn't just take my money and half-ass it or just, try to do what I can,
Yeah.
And I said, if you change your mind and you come back and you want to proceed with that, let me know. I'd be more than glad to help you. But I feel like there's a better route and, to take it in for me to, buff on it and you're just not going to get what you're looking for.
Yeah. Once they've scraped through the paint, you got to do some touch up there, and it can get better, but it's never going to be the same.
Right. And that's what I explained to him. I said, you have other options, and I want you to look at your options before you decide and spend that money. Because regardless, anybody, $1,000, it's a lot of money to spend on a car,
Oh yeah.
So. And the ripple effects of that experience are going to last for years for you.
Yep.
I mean, you think about every person that he interacts with, and they go, hey, who do you recommend for a detail? Who do you recommend for a ceramic coating? You are going to be number one in every discussion in that guy's experience, right? And I think a lot of times it's tough, right? You're looking at, hey, I need to feed my babies. I need to build my business. And sometimes it's tempting to take the shortcut when your integrity will enable you to play the long game at a level that allows you to have that exponential growth that you've experienced.
And that's just it. I try everything I do, me and my wife, we try to look at the long term. When I'm looking 2 years down the line, I'm not looking at, I'm trying to plan for the future, period.
Yeah.
Yep. Every job I do, every customer I interact with, I think of years down the line when they buy their next car or their kid starts driving and they buy them a used car. That's building relationships. That's what it's about. That's how you're going to succeed.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those lessons I think people don't if they don't realize it early on, they might see it negatively in 5 years from now. We've had that situation where just this week we had a guy that was a customer of ours starting in 2009 that all of a sudden has a new idea and he's going to start coming back to us. And it's that reputation, it's that customer service, and it's everything from 2009 until 2022 that's led up to that. And, you know, the philosophy of that person may come in for advice today, you know, and this guy that came in with the Raptor, it may be a Raptor with 160,000 miles on it today, but 2 years ago or 2 years from now, he may be driving a, you know, brand new Maserati, and it might be, you know, hey, you did me really right on the Raptor a couple of years ago. Like you said, it could be a relative, a friend, anything. So I always look at it and say customers are, they're more than what they seem. That's why I always keep my eggs in a separate basket.
I work from
There
home
you
to
go.
keep a promised guaranteed income, and I let him be the risk taker.
That's exactly
and follow his dream. I love that, right?
Yeah.
Because just in that statement alone, right, you can see the teamwork that is going on in your family.
Yep.
And it really does take a team. I mean,
It does.
Rod and I, the first year we were in business, we
Yep.
met once a week in our partners' kitchens. We would rotate each one of our houses and we would have lunch together, and we would come in. All right, what did you do? What did you accomplish? What do we need to do the next week? We did that for a full year out of our kitchens. And then we got this little crappy 400 square foot office above us. We called it the fly office because every morning we came in, there were dead flies everywhere. We don't know where they came from, right? And we, year by year, day by day, week by week, month by month, built our business. But we could not have done it without our wives. We flat out could not have done it. I mean, I went from a really high paying job to making a third, nothing, right? And it was a collaborative effort. Me and my wife, Rod and his wife, Dave and his wife, Spencer and his wife. I mean, and I think a lot of times that gets dismissed. It's not recognized as well as it is. So kudos to Whitney and you for having the passion, the vision, the love for each other, the respect for each other to build that dream, because it really does take the two of you to build a family business.
Me and Whitney's been together since we were 13, so we've been a team for a long time.
Wow, that's cool, man.
So
that's a long time, Whitney.
So looking back, you know, obviously you and Whitney been around for 13 years, but what have you learned that you think is important for business owners who are starting out or kind of in that growth phase that you think would be helpful for them?
You got to have balance. You have to balance your family time and your business. You got to separate them. And I'm learning that, you know, I have to shut it off, you know, because she gets on me all the time. I'm in bed last night. I'm in bed 2:00 in the morning, you know, ordering stuff, reaching out to customers. It's just, you, as a business owner, your mind doesn't stop. You're always thinking about the next thing. And, you know, you have to have balance. And I'm learning that, and I'm working on that. We're going to be going on vacation here in November. I'm working on setting up a thing called Grasshopper, so I can take my calls and transfer them to the guys at the shop. So then I can just shut my phone off and I can, you know, spend some time with my family and reset. And then, you know, I got my guy here. Yesterday was actually his 1 year anniversary with me. That when I was out sick, he handles it, and he fucking kills it. So
yeah, and I think that's the key, is you got to be able to trust. And that, as a business owner, I think my message to people would be, you find good people that help you. You know, everybody's not a CPA. You got to find a CPA, and you trust that person.
Yep.
And the same thing is true with employees and the people around your business. You have to be able to trust people. If you don't trust them, there's either something wrong with them or you. And most of the time you're looking in the mirror at the person that's got the problem. So you've got to be able to trust people, but you got to train them and get them the training that they need as well to do a good job, and clear cut expectations. It's just as important with your employees and the people that work with you and for you. So There you go, Mike. Train your replacement.
Yeah, I love that idea, man.
But only to a certain level. Keep a couple of secrets. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Not me, man. I want to train
I'm
my
just
replacement. I want to buy that 45-foot catamaran and go sail the world. So, but no, I love it. So, how do people get in touch with you in your area?
So, a lot of my business comes from Facebook. That's how I've built my whole business. Is Facebook. I get a ton of business from it. I'm starting to take. I had Detailers Roadmap make me a website. I actually have a meeting with him after we get off here. I think we're going to start working on SEO and running ads and stuff like that. So, other than Google, I'm number one in Georgetown. When you Google auto detailing, I'm number one. So that and Facebook is pretty much it, man.
That's awesome.
So you see the number at the bottom there, Facebook page and everything. And again, you mentioned something about Facebook that I think is really important is your customers do look at your posts.
Yes.
So that's just my little personal soapbox. Your customers watch you. And if you're a dick online, they know it. You know, my middle daughter's thing. Don't be a douche. You know, that's it. Be a nice person, man. And people want to do business.
Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your head and get online and act like your shit don't stink and you're better and this and that, because there's always going to be somebody better. But you can take something like I said earlier. If you can learn one thing from that person and implement it in your business, then hey, do it.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. You know, we bring these stories to you guys that are watching in hopes and with the purpose and mission of helping you glean something from other people's experiences to help you in your business. And there are over on YouTube, there's over 200, like 200 episodes, right? There are so many stories over the last 2.5, 3 years that we've been doing this. And it's all really driven to help you guys in your business, because every time I have one of these conversations, something impacts me. Every conversation, right? And Rod and I have been in business since 2009, and we're continually learning. We're continually trying to turn the knobs and try to ratchet it up, keep us going to the next level. And kind of like you said, sometimes it's a freaking roller coaster. You're way up here and you're doing great, and all of a sudden they pull the rug out from you and you're like, oh, what the heck just happened, right?
Every time the phone doesn't ring, I freak out. I'm like, man, it's been a day, 2 days, the phone's not ringing, and then boom, the phone won't stop ringing. You know, it's up and down all the time. So, and that's going to be with any business. The business I share my shop with, he's the same way, and he tells me all the time. He's like, man, it's going to be like that forever. It's never going to stop. So, get used to it and hold on.
Yeah, and Whitney ends the episode with the perfect comment there: sacrifice. Owning a business is a sacrifice, and it's a good sacrifice, and most people feel the same way as you guys do. They wouldn't have it any other way. So, you know, go out there, kill it, do what you got to do, be a nice person while you do it, and, you know, carve out your little niche and just always constantly improve yourself, man. Go to as many trainings as you can go to and learn something. So,
well, we want to go ahead. Sorry.
But take time for yourself.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big one, man. It's, there are so many rough edges on us, especially men, right?
Hey guys, Mr. Darryl.
We can have rough edges, but if you're authentic with yourself and recognize, you know what, there's a lot that I need to learn. Right? I mean, Rod balances, he fills in gaps that I'm weak. Right.
And vice versa. And you got to be able to, you know, I think the thing is, and Darryl just popping in there gives me a perfect example of this, is we mention a lot of names on this stuff, right? I mean, you got Darryl, and you mentioned Nathan Warren, and you got, you know, we got Mike Carlin and your wife, Whitney, Renee, Kirk, Richard, a whole bunch of people that are popping in there. Get a group of people and get mentors and get people you can just call up and you know, if you're having a bad day, you can just call up and go, hey man, I apologize, I'm having a shit day. I need to vent. You know? Jody and I both do that all the time. I'll walk in the door and I'll go, get ready. It's that day. And you know, So
yeah, a lot of times he comes in and he's like, all right, door's shut. I need to
That's
unload.
right. I
I'm
need
like,
to
that's
unload,
all
man.
good.
So yep, I agree with you, Daryl. We've seen a lot of Austin stuff. I think the first time I physically met you was at SDC, and there's a lot of people that grow, and I think that staying humble is part of that. And I'm going to throw that out there. Just the few times I've met you, staying humble and staying focused on what you want to do and not getting caught up in all the garbage is the way to do it. So
yeah.
Say the detail industry is like high school.
It definitely can be, man.
I'm making up for all the time I cut in school. So
that's funny, man.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you a lot for coming on, and your wife. I want to thank everybody that comments on here. We really appreciate the feedback. Please go out and subscribe. Get all your friends to subscribe to the channel. It just keeps letting us bring new people on and getting more content on there. So we appreciate everybody coming on. Go check out Austin's stuff. And
yep. So please remember, like, share, subscribe.
And
we will check you when?
Next week.
Next week.
Thursday. Thanks a lot, Austin.
Thank you, guys.
Man. Yep. Talk to you
See
later.
ya.